Hey guys, I won't be able to do the thing that I'm trying this year with the whole possibly recording conversations on Twitch. We've got some family health issue type things going on. So tonight we have our nephew, my wife, who I always just call wife, but you can find her on Twitch at Ribbit Froggy, are out with the little nephew at the park today. And after doing some dinner. So yeah, it's time to do day 8. I don't want it to be late. No, I'm talking to the camera. And so day 8 is, ooh, look at that sun. Sorry about that. Day 8 is, how can we get people into this hobby? I might not remember the exact specific words. But I think this is a great question. It's, if we want to share the love of our hobby, this is an important question, isn't it? Start him young. How about that? I didn't even think about that answer. He's my nephew. There's no way he's not going to experience this at some point, right? So my general thought, right, is what? I don't have one general thought. Sorry for the babbling. Play in public spaces. Maybe a pavilion like this, if it had a table, that would be fine. Or maybe the camp table's back there. It's got a windy place that might not be so great. But in general, I was thinking libraries, game stores. But if you play in your local FLG, what is it, buddy? Are we going? He wants to what? Oh. Well, we're moving now. We're on the move now. And I found out that I can't stop my recording for anything.
Hey,
We're gonna.
Let's the equidistant have some time.
We're going to. If we play in our local FLGs, FLGSs, we're not really introducing the hobby necessarily to a lot of people. Sure, there'll be people there who are used to miniatures. They're CCGs and whatnot, and maybe they haven't gotten into role playing. But they've probably seen it. They've probably known about it. So I guess in that case, it's kind of a case-by-case question, right? Is anyone playing accessible games at your local FLGS? I realize that saying local FLGS is actually redundant. Sorry. But if there aren't, maybe that's a good place for you to go. If they already are, well then, maybe that's some exposure is enough exposure. So maybe other places, right? Your libraries, your I don't know, out in the open pavilions if you've got the kind of weather and places for it. Schools, maybe after hours for clubs and things like that. There's definitely places you can do it. You're just going to have to be the kind of group that can tolerate some interruptions, right? Because this isn't just, you're going to have to be able to receive it in a friendly way, in an educational way, in a love of my hobby and I wouldn't mind sharing it with you at all kind of way. Secondly, we can invite those friends of ours that are in similar hobbies into it. I got several people in our board game group to try it out. Some of them liked it. Actually, almost everybody liked it. If I remember right, there wasn't anyone who didn't like it per se. I think there was maybe one. And another person who was like, well, I like it, but for the time investment, I'd rather keep board gaming. Okay. He could at least understand it and appreciate it. Is this going to correct? Wow. This doesn't look like it's going to correct for my for this darkness. But we can invite people in. I think we hold back. Sometimes we hold back inviting people in because we're afraid of some stigmatism. sorry, gosh, some kind of stigma. And I don't think we have to worry so much about that stigma anymore. You know, it's not the 80s with the demonic fear going on anymore. A lot of our hobbies are a lot more popular now. Just the general nerd-based hobbies are a lot more popular now. So I don't think that's too much of an issue. You just kind of get an eye on Ribbit and the little nephew. There he is. Okay. So I don't think we have to worry about that. Invite people. Just invite friends. I mean, I actually had people who were just like, I'd like to try it out. Great. They saw it on the IT crowd and they were like, I'd like to try that out and figure out what it is. And I'm like, well, I do that, so I could take you into it. They're like, great, let's do that. So I really think it's just about sharing a hobby like you would share almost any other hobby, right? Like we can't look at it any differently. So so let's talk about something else. Like that's just thinking about who to ask, right? And how to receive strangers from the public perspective. But what do we do when we've got them? I think that's also something we need to talk about for this topic. What do we do when we've got them? So I think you're going to have an appropriate adventure set up. I don't think there's a black and white line or absolute answer about system complexity. A lot of people say, bring them into the simpler games. When I had that group of 5 new people, I threw them into Rollmaster 2nd Edition, and they all adapted just fine and got going. I think it might be more of a question of how comfortable are you teaching it. So I don't think there's any black and white question about which system. Make it a system that you are enthusiastic about. Make it a system that you understand well and can explain well. Make it a system that you have an adventure for. And when I say an adventure, I do think there should be some parameters on this. It should not be a one-shot. You shouldn't invite them into your ongoing long-running campaign. Right? They should feel not just intuitively, but explicitly, that there is an on-ramp and an off-ramp for them without going too far. Right? So, my standard is I try to write out a short storyline that's going to take 4 to 6 4-hour sessions to play. And then I just try to get them to nail down 4 dates in the calendar where we're going to do this. And, say, hey, if it looks like it's going to go longer, we'll talk about what dates to pick, but it's not going to go longer than 6. Unless you all say that you want to. Privately, not publicly. Always ask them to continue privately, right? Like give them a personal, private, unpeer pressure related way out. And I do think that's important. Why? Because we've got one-shot role-playing. Obviously, that's not role-playing just because it's a one-shot. And you've got 20-year-old campaigns that are running with the same people over, through the ages. That's fine too. But one of the people that I was introducing in this new group of people, one of them had roleplayed before back in college, some D6, I believe, Star Wars, and I can't remember what else. Oh, Call of Cthulhu. But eventually he was. I could tell he was resistant to picking out multiple dates. And then he finally just asked me, like, why are we doing this? And I was like, wait a second. Every time you roleplayed back in college, was it like you come in that night and you kill the dragon and save the princess, get the loot, and that's it, you're done thing? And he's like, yeah. And I was like, okay, that is role playing, but you didn't get to actually experience all that role playing is, because you didn't get to experience developing your character, getting to know the character and stuff like that. That's not to say people who play one shots are not role playing. I'm not saying that. But one shots are one extreme, and the 20-year campaigns are the other extreme, right? If we're going to introduce them, let's kind of slide them into the middle somewhere that gives them an idea. And that's something else you should be doing, by the way, is to explain to them that there's different tones, different styles of play, different settings for play, and different sets of mechanics that make you feel or give different options to you, right? So that if you didn't like this experience, but you can nail it down to, well, I thought this was too flippant. Well, we were playing tuned after all, so maybe you'd want to try something else. You know, like give them that understanding so that they can understand what the greater hobby is at large, and that's also part of my approach to giving them like a 4-session game, so that so that they have some idea that there can be length and continuance to a game, that it isn't just one shots and it isn't just people who are getting together every week for the last 5 years. That can really put some people off from the hobby. So that's all I've got. I'm really interested in seeing what else people have, if they've got interesting ways that they've hooked people on. Maybe I've been too generic. Maybe I haven't thought of all the avenues, but this is pretty good. I really like the start of this RPG a day this year, and I hope you guys are having fun. And I'm going to get back to the wife and the nephew. I will, and as I said before, hey, last year I said this, put the comments in there, Phil, and if you want to join me when I try to do this as a live discussion, my Twitch channel is Indie of Como on Twitch. And check you guys later. I wonder what day 9 holds for us. It's going to be cool. Later.